against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever, Wally.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, card breaking news, culture, and manic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Simply Bitcoin, the most watched daily Bitcoin live show on YouTube, Rumble, and X. By the way, shout out to Rumble. We just got verified on Rumble, so everyone watching us there, we really appreciate your support. It really means a lot to us. Anyways, today what we're going to talk about, we did an episode on this specific topic about a month and a half or ago, so it seems like you guys really enjoyed it. And basically, it was Adam Back's, I wouldn't call it, it was just a guesstimate or something, but he basically made the argument that this halving Bitcoin could potentially flip gold. So we're going to talk about that as well. Also, the FISA stuff that's going on in Congress. I think it's a really important topic to talk about. Freedom, the fight for free speech is the fight for Bitcoin. If you think that if they're not okay with you talking freely, what makes you think that they'll be okay with you transacting freely? So we always like to talk about freedom of speech issues. I think this is an incredibly important one that I think a lot of people are not aware of. We also have a clip of you guys from the famous Tucker Carlson and Mike Benz interview, and it really like reaffirms the argument, the case that we've been making for you guys for a while now, that the internet really started to disintermediate things. First, it started with information, then it moved on to money. Before, there was only a handful of media outlets for the state to control. Now there's millions upon millions of individuals talking freely amongst each other. This morning, I posted something on Twitter, and it showed the decline in viewership of the legacy media. Some platforms were 25%, some were 44%. And what is filling that void? Well, it's independent media. It's the rise of citizen journalists. And so that's why it's so important to make your voice heard. One of the things that we say during the meme review, and you could take it as a joke, but it's really not, is if tweets are bullets, memes are artillery. In this information narrative trench warfare that we're fighting on the battlegrounds of the internet, trying to win over the hearts and minds of individuals and trying to wake them up to the reality that it's not left versus right, it's not red versus blue, it's really the party of green, the party of fiat, nihilism, slavery, war, versus the party of orange, the party of hope, opportunity, prosperity, and Bitcoin, right? So we really got to wake up people to that reality. So I'm really excited to talk about free speech. I'm really excited to talk about this whole FISA thing that's happening in Congress. And in the beginning, also, we have another interview from Tucker. He actually interviewed the CEO of Telegram. I'm sure if you're a Bitcoiner, you use Telegram. A lot of people use Telegram. Everyone's on Telegram. But the CEO is really like not a public figure. He hasn't really done a lot of interviews. And one of the fascinating things that he said is like, look, I don't really like property. I value freedom. And he said that, I have a bunch of cash in my bank account, but I also have Bitcoin and I've been holding it for decades. So I think it's a testament of Bitcoin. It's a testament of the fact that the Overton window is shifting. We're slowly heading into this new era where Bitcoin becomes mainstream in the mainstream consciousness. I think we're really heading into that era. And I'm really excited for that era because I think people are going to realize that there's an alternative to this inflationary control system garbage money that the government is trying to shove down our throat. So I'm really excited about this episode. And of course, we have the organizer of one of my favorite Bitcoin conferences. And of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Boomer that just got an awesome Bitcoin trading card done by BTC Trading Cards. We have Gary Leland on the show. How you doing, Gary?
Yo. Good. Doing good. It's I'm back in the saddle. It took me a couple of days to get rested after Bitblock Boom. But I'm back.
Gary,
that wears me out bad.
I bet putting together a conference was, I mean, Opti and I get completely burnt out just setting up. So I can't even imagine what it's like setting up an entire conference.
And it's not even setting up the conference. It's just being on my feet all weekend because I don't think you saw me sitting around a lot.
No.
I try to make sure everybody's taken care of. I try to make sure everybody knows I appreciate them coming. So I'm on my feet quite a bit. I guess that just wears me out. If I was just sitting around like you, I wouldn't have much of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going all over the place, shaking the hand. I mean, but like, to give Gary credit, you're on top. It's not only that you're on your feet, you have to make sure that every box is checked and everything is going to work correctly, right? So I think it's a combination of things. But yeah, it was an epic BitBlock Boom conference this year. You guys had a workshop day. You guys had a conference day and then a bunch of side events as well. The shooting one was hilarious, where you set up targets of altcoins and just people went to the gun range and shot those up, which was hilarious.
On that, we had a well-known shitcoiner I had talked to. Actually, Ben from who's that guy that just got in all the trouble with "Where's My Lamborghini"? You know what I'm talking about?
Bring up Opti. Where's
no
my
idea
Lamborghini? Which
no
one is
idea.
that? I don't.
Yeah. Somebody will probably know it in there. But there's a guy named Ben who's a big shitcoiner ripping people off, and I actually contacted him and asked him if we could put his face on the things. Everybody, I'm sure that someone here knows him, and he said, "Sure, sounds good to me." So
Is that BitBoy? Is that BitBoy?
Yes, we were putting BitBoy
Okay.
on the things, and the shooting range wouldn't let us do it. You can't have any people on custom things. You can't have people on there. So he was cool with it. Said, "Oh, it sounds good to me." So I'm putting his ass on these things, and yeah, Ben Armstrong. Thank you, Phil. But they would not allow me to do it. They said you can put anything on custom targets except a person. So
man,
that's when we put the coins up there. But that was fun.
Yeah,
that would have been real fun with him up there.
And then I gotta say, the Texas barbecue, which I go above and beyond. You guys had it at I think the name of the venue was Ferris Wheelers. It was outside. Right. You guys had a live band, and I think I did the buffet line at least 2 or 3 times. It was just absolutely delicious.
And we had a little issue there. Some people got pissed because they couldn't walk and get like 100. At the end, I said, okay, add ribs to all the dinners, which was, I think the ribs were like $2 per rib or something, and so I wanted to make sure everybody got a couple, so they would have been gone by halfway through the line, but they were told to give out 2, and then they could come back through the line. But some people were like, I couldn't get pieces. I wanted to say, well, I should have left it like I was and just had pork if that's going to be the deal, and then, because I changed it the last couple of days before because those ribs are really good there, and I thought everybody needed a bite of them. And then there were plenty, for people to go through the line more than once and get them. But I didn't want to take a chance on the people at the half of the line back, because I would have just got all ribs on my plate if I was. I'd say anything else. Give me about 10 of them ribs. So I wanted to make sure that didn't happen to people at the end of the line.
Oh man. Well, I'm excited for the BitBlock Boom 2023 debrief. We're going to hit it with Opti. Opti, how you doing this morning? Saw a smile on your face, which means it's going to be a great show. Are you excited to host tomorrow and Friday?
Not really, but we got to make sure the show keeps going. Anyways, I do want to.
You do a good job. I enjoy watching you, Opti.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it makes my job a little more hectic, having to deal with everything at once. So I like hanging out in the chat with everyone. But yeah, I got to do what I got to do. Anyways, I do want to mention, and I showed this to Gary, but I did get a holographic Gary.
Oh, I'm so glad that you got that.
So you guys can see it there. Absolutely hilarious. Shouts out to the Bitcoin trading cards.
I should have brought my wife. Went down to because I ended up a couple of those that people handed me, and my wife went over to the framing place and had one of those framed up in a little frame, and she's got it on the bookcase downstairs.
I did the same thing with mine. I framed 2, and they're like these little ASIC boards. I actually have one right here, and super proud of it. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I love these. I love these. They're so cool. But you, Gary, you also had a painting as well.
Yeah, the person who did the art, her dad is like my best buddy. We've been buddies for 40 years, and I told Aladdin I'd like her to do the artwork for my card, just trying to give her some exposure in business because she's a great artist. And I thought she was just going to do it on her computer, but she ended up doing a 3 foot by 4 foot, original painting of it. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect all that, so it was good looking. So I did, did my picture pose by it, blah, blah, blah. So, but it was really kind of interesting to see a big painting of me riding a bull.
With the dynamite in your hand. Yeah. It was absolutely epic.
Good job.
It was absolutely epic. By the way, guys, go to BTC Trading Cards and get yourself a limited edition BitBlock Boom BTC Trading Cards pack, and gives you an opportunity to win a Gary and a bunch of other awesome Bitcoin boomers. We have BJ Ditcher in the chat. How you doing, BJ? BJ, good morning. For another freedom fighter. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the show. But before we do, I do want to give a very special shout out to our lead sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. It is self-custody by default. What does that mean? That means that you can't buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well unless you're going to take self-custody, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state. After all, self-custody is the revolution. Also, check Bitcoin Jackpot Contest, which is currently live. You have to go to bitcoinwell.com/contest. You sign up to the platform. Every time you buy Bitcoin, you earn points, and you could put those towards the jackpot. The current jackpot is 5,592 sats. If you win, you get 69% of that. 10% goes to Bitcoin projects, and 10% I think goes to the second place winner. If you're an existing user of Bitcoin Well, all you got to do is go to the rewards section of the Bitcoin Well dashboard. And again, every time you buy Bitcoin, you earn points, and you can throw those towards the Bitcoin Jackpot Contest. What are you waiting for? Support self-custody by default. Go to bitcoinwell.com/simplybitcoin. All right, everybody, let's get to the numbers. Let's do this. Here we go.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, everybody, I made it incredibly easy for you guys. You could scan the QR code and use Simply for 15% off anything on there. But in celebration for the halving, you'll be able to get 50% off any stamp on the website. So take advantage of that. 50% off. That's a huge discount. Head over to Stamp Seed. That's in celebration for the halving. So we'll be reminding you guys every couple of days. I think the sale goes on the halving day. It might be on now, but definitely go check out Stamp Seed. And remember, you want to store your generational wealth and you want to do it properly. So don't write it down on paper. Put it on titanium. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 60,740 sats per dollar. 1,646. Block height 839,658. Blocks to halving, only 342 to go. Halving estimate April 19, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity 4,414 Bitcoin. Capacity value 267 million. Realized monetary inflation 1.73%. Oh, it's on sale right now. Smash buy. Head over to Stamp Seed. Market capitalization 1.19 trillion. Oh, Stamp Seed's in the chat. Titanium plates 50% off tomorrow. Includes generic and designer plates. So head over to Stamp Seed tomorrow, and I'm sure they're gonna have it live on the halving day, and you get 50% off. You can get yourself a Stamp Seed. I'm gonna literally buy. Oh, not tomorrow, the 19th. Thank you, Stamp Seed. Appreciate it. The market capitalization is 1.19 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 8.61%. That's right, guys. Go to Stamp Seed the day of the halving, April 19th, and you'll be able to get the little stamps 50% off, and they have really cool custom ones. I have a limited edition Simply Bitcoin one. It's absolutely badass. I don't think they sell those, but I'm definitely going to buy a couple. Anyways, I do want to talk about this because I think it's a huge deal. The CEO of Telegram, he's not really a public figure. He kind of, stays underneath. Telegram is one of the most popular messaging platforms in the entire world. They don't spend $1 on marketing. I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's a great way to connect with other Bitcoiners. It's like really easy to use. But anyways, he had something really kind of interesting to say. Let's check it out.
Also, for me, it was never about money, right? So I have a few $100 million in my bank account or in Bitcoin since 10 years ago, and I don't do anything with it. I don't own any real estate, jets, or yachts. I don't think this lifestyle is for me. I like to focus on what we are doing with Telegram.
You don't own anything? Like big assets? You don't own
no big assets. Exactly.
An island in Hawaii or
no land, no real estate, nothing.
Why?
Well, because for me, my number one priority in life is my freedom. Also, for me,
I mean, he sounds like a Bitcoiner, to be honest with you. I think this is a truth that Bitcoiners know, right? You need a place to live, okay, right? But other than that, I mean, I've heard this saying before from I don't know where I've heard it before, but it's this idea of if you own a lot of stuff, specifically like a yacht, which is like setting money on fire, you don't own them, they own you. Right. And I think, the way that he says it, right, in terms of, kind of minimizing things and just owning Bitcoin or owning, I don't know why he said cash in a bank account, because I wouldn't consider that freedom. But I like the way he's thinking, and definitely sounds like a Bitcoiner. I mean, if he's holding Bitcoin for 10 years, he's definitely done extremely well for himself. So I thought that was really, really interesting. And I think it's just another example of, and you guys are going to kill me for saying this, but I'm going to continue saying this throughout the entire episode because it's one of those episodes. The Overton window is definitely shifting, not only in terms of money, but also in terms of really people valuing freedom, right? You saw this with the election of Javier Milei in Argentina, right? They elected an Austrian economist and someone who is a libertarian, and that's never really happened before. So you can't deny that this urge for freedom, this urge for change is happening worldwide. This freedom mind virus is happening worldwide, and I think the world will be a much better place for it after we get over this little hump that we're currently going through. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on this? And we'll pass it on to Gary.
Yeah, well, I mean, you asked a rhetorical question of why he's holding cash, but let's remember he probably is holding cash to run his business, so can't really fault him for too much on that point, Nico. But also, didn't Telegram have like a shitcoin or something like that? I forget all the details there. So we'll just put a pin on that point as well. But you love the conversation. You love to hear other people that aren't necessarily in the Bitcoin echo chamber say exactly what we've been saying. We saw Jack Mallers say this recently. He's like, all he owns is basically like his house in Bitcoin, and everything else is irrelevant. And I just love that he basically said what we say all the time. He's like, yeah, I literally only own Bitcoin because I only care about freedom. And Nico, everyone in the chat saying that quote's from Fight Club, the things that you own end up owning you. So there we go. Another connection. But I really love seeing Tucker try to wrap his head around this. Like, you can tell he's just so wrapped up in the fiat world that he's like, wait, you only own Bitcoin and nothing else? Like, what is wrong with you? And all of us Bitcoiners are thinking the opposites. Like, what is wrong with you guys owning all this other stuff? Don't you realize there's only one thing you can truly own in the world right now, and it is Bitcoin? Even if you own a house, you technically probably don't actually own it because you still have to pay, mortgage and taxes on it to the government. So you're basically just renting your house from the government. But that's a totally other conversation that people aren't even ready for. But I just love that he basically said, like, I only care about freedom, hence why I basically only own Bitcoin. And I think this is something that all of us Bitcoiners, we all are doing this in our own way. And as we're seeing right now, with the ETFs and the institutions and all that stuff, you're starting to see that people are slowly but surely, big emphasis on slowly here, but you're seeing that they'll get, like 1% price exposure, maybe 5%, 10%. And soon enough, everyone will get the epiphany moment and be like, oh my God, I don't want to own anything else but Bitcoin. And we have the meme in Bitcoin of sell your chairs, even though, I'm sitting in a chair right now because, as Gary was telling us, I talk on the internet all the time. I can't stand up for hours a day, guys. So I do own a chair, but it just goes to show that the signal is spreading. And shouts out to Tucker for having these conversations, because Tucker is basically, I think, besides Joe Rogan, the biggest content creator on the internet. And so the fact that these messages are getting spread out, the fact that the signal is starting to spread and more people are waking up to the idea that, hey, if you believe in the ideas of freedom, if you believe in freedom of speech and property rights, then there's only one thing to really own, and that is Bitcoin. So soon enough, the world will wake up to this message. And this is why we do what we do, that hopefully more people wake up to the idea that there's only one thing you can truly own in the world right now, and that is Bitcoin. Obviously, taking Bitcoin into custody and holding the private keys yourself, that is true freedom, owning Bitcoin and as much Bitcoin as possible.
Amen. Gary, what's your thoughts?
Well, I like everything he's saying on Telegram guys saying, but it's not surprising because, Opti, you're right. They tried to come out with a Telegram coin, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and had a bunch of backlash on it and dropped that. But yeah, he's smart if he's just holding Bitcoin. I personally am not holding just Bitcoin because I do have a home that's paid off that I'm just going to live in until I die. They'll have to carry me out of here. I'm not taking any chances, but all of my assets are in Bitcoin. My investments, I hold Bitcoin. Even things that were in IRAs have been transferred into. I don't want to pay capital gains to pull it out, but they transferred into things like Riot and Marathon and MicroStrategy. So I like to say I'm 100% Bitcoin, even though I'm not. I'm as close as I'm going to be able to get without selling my home and cars and personal items. So I think everybody who's watching this show knows Bitcoin is going to be the thing that takes us to the promised land. And you find yourself, Nico, trying to convince everybody of this. If you're really a maxi, because you don't want to, you're not trying to make your Bitcoin go up in value, but you're trying to bring them with us to the promised land. And so that's how I look at it. I try not to be too much of a hardcore fanatic on that around my friends. So until they start asking, but once they ask, holy hell breaks out for them. And then I get it when I'm in the car with my wife. So
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, no, and to be specific, right? Like, you have to own you sometimes it's probably a good idea to have a place to live, right? So it's probably a good idea to do that.
And actually, once you reach my age, if your home's paid off, I mean, I couldn't afford to buy this house anymore because I bought it 30 years ago. I couldn't afford to buy this house, and it's paid off. And what I pay and can't even rent an apartment for now. So it did work out good for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, also too, like a lot of these, whether it's MicroStrategy, because the thing is, like, specifically if you have an IRA or something like that, right? Like, you get penalized if you're going to liquidate that, right? So
right.
What I've seen people do is, like, instead of kind of, liquidating it, they just get exposure to the ETFs, or they get exposure to MicroStrategy, which is kind of like a levered Bitcoin play, or you get exposure to the mining stocks as well, right? So, I mean, but that is still, you're still exposed to Bitcoin. Like, maybe it's indirectly, but it's still, it's still exposure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're into it, and it's according to when you got into MicroStrategies, but it's had a good run, even though we're down a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, but I think a lot of people who may be doing ETFs right now are in that situation. They had money in their retirement. They were interested in Bitcoin, but they're not wanting to take a 20% capital gains hit to pull it out and then go buy Bitcoin. And the two of those together are hell. I'm losing 20% right off the bat, putting in Bitcoin. It's like really goes crazy. I could drop 20% there, while I'm waiting for it to go up, have a heart attack, have a stroke. Their family's going to miss them. So I can see why they want to go into ETFs. It's an easy way for them to get in without taking a 20% hit.
100%. I 100% agree with you. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying the show so far, we're at 90 likes. Help us break 100 likes within the first hour on YouTube. So if you're enjoying the content so far, smash the like button. Appreciate all of you guys watching us on Rumble. We just recently got verified, which is extremely exciting. The 64 of you guys watching us on Rumble, and we have a pretty big audience, 622 of you guys watching us on Twitter. So if you guys are enjoying the show so far, smash that like button. Anyways, everybody, let's get to news. We have a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out. Here we go.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. I made it incredibly easy for you guys. You could scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to the Foundation Devices website where you guys could get yourself a port by Foundation Devices. Anyways, I do want to talk about this, right? Which is kind of like this weird kind of moment in history that we're going through. So first, the internet changed everything. It disintermediated information and it disintermediated money, just like the book, The Sovereign Individual, predicted. We're currently going through the disintermediation of information. That's what governments are currently reacting to. What I believe is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is just like they're reacting so hardcore, like they're reacting viciously against the disintermediation of information, they're going to start reacting this way towards the disintermediation of money. They're starting to do it. That's what like the Elizabeth Warren bill and all that stuff that's hostile towards Bitcoiners, towards the Bitcoin industry. You had the proposal that would force public miners to register with the government, all this stuff. You've seen the regulatory attacks on Bitcoin miners all over the world. I think the most popular one is the most famous one is the infamous China ban. So we're starting to feel the effects of the disintermediation of money, but we're not quite there. But where we are, and it's very, very apparent just because of how hard they're fighting, is the disintermediation of information. Now, there's this episode that Mike Benz did with Tucker, and I highly recommend you guys watching the entire thing. Here's a small clip, and the way that he puts it is so awesome. Let's check it out.
You know, from their perspective, they just weren't ready for the internet. 2016 was really the first time that social media had reached such maturity that it began to eclipse legacy media. I mean, this was a long time coming. I think folks saw this building from 2006 through 2016. You know, Internet 1.0 didn't even have social media. From 1991 to 2004, there was no social media at all. 2004, Facebook came out. 2005, Twitter. 2006, YouTube. 2007, the smartphone. And so, and in that initial period of social media, nobody was getting subscriberships at the level where they actually competed with legacy news media. But over the course of being, you know, so initially even these dissident voices within the U.S., even though they may have been loud in moments, they never reached 30 million followers. They never reached, you know, a billion impressions a year type thing. As a uncensored, mature ecosystem allowed citizen journalists and independent voices to be able to outcompete legacy news media, this induced a massive crisis both in our military and in our State Department and intelligence services. And I'll give you a great example of this. In 2019, at a meeting of the German Marshall Fund, which is, you know, an institution that goes back to the U.S. Basically, I don't want to say bribe, but essentially the soft power, economic soft power projection in Europe as part of the reconstruction of European governments after World War II to be able to essentially pay them with Marshall Fund dollars, and then in return they basically were under our thumb in terms of how they reconstructed. But the German Marshall Fund held a meeting in 2019. They held 1 million of these, frankly, but where a 4-star general got up on the panel and said that what happens. He posed the question: what happens to the U.S. military? What happens to the national security state when the New York Times is reduced to a medium-sized Facebook page?
So, I mean, that is an extremely powerful statement, and it's happening right now as we speak. This explains the quote unquote the Disinformation Governance Board, which is completely against the First Amendment, right? Which would basically have the U.S. government kind of meddling and going in and determining what is misinformation, what is disinformation. And this is all because of the internet. The internet has disintermediated information. It's decentralized peer-to-peer communications without gatekeepers. And it freaks them the F out. I mean, you could hear it from the horse's mouth, right? This is the CEO of NPR, right? She's on a podcast of the Atlantic Council. This is the same Atlantic Council that has a website tracking all the developments of the CBDCs. And let's check out what she has to say about the First Amendment.
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around.
I gotta say, you know, when the press secretary is going out there, or when the Treasury Secretary is telling us that there's going to be no inflation, even though there's a record amount of money printing, not to mention all the other information that came out during the pandemic that you could say at best was questionable. At worst, you could say it hurt people. Like the framers designed the First Amendment in a way because they knew that the people that get to decide what information is true and what information is not true is going to use that information to empower themselves. That's why the First Amendment is the way it is. It's precisely to protect from the potential tyrannical state, right? So, you know, it's just fascinating, though, the fact that once the internet was born, we're learning basically that all these legacy media outlets that a lot of people put a lot of faith in tended, you know, it came out essentially that were they actually doing media or were they actually doing propaganda, which I think is fascinating. So the latest kind of update on this is what's going on in the House, right? So Patriot Act 2.0. And it is the U.S. House passes FISA 702 surveillance expansion reform. Today, the U.S. House of Representatives voted on passing a 2-year extension of Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. A controversial warrantless spying authority and an extremely narrow tie vote rejected critical reforms to stop rampant abuse of the law. Right. This is the same law that they used that Edward Snowden initially uncovered. And again, it's against the Constitution. It's against the Fourth Amendment. No unreasonable searches and seizures, right? So there's a quick update on that. FISA Section 702 reauthorization bill will allowing NSA to force U.S. businesses serve as surrogate spies advances to the Senate. U.S. House of Representatives voted 259 to 128 on Monday to prevent reconsideration of last week's FISA 702 bill. The expanded version of the bill is now heading to the Senate and is expected to be voted on this week. Now, why is this happening? Well, I mean, sovereign individual, again, predicted this perfectly, right? So here's a couple quotes from the book, and then we'll pass it on to Gary and Opti. The first one is, genius will be unleashed, freed from both the oppression of government and the drags of racial and ethnic prejudice. In the information society, no one who is truly able will be determined by the ill-formed opinions of others. It will not matter what most of the people on earth think of your race, your looks, your age, or the way you wear your hair. In the cyber economy, they will never see you. The ugly, the fat, the old, the disabled will vie with the young and beautiful on equal terms in utterly colorblind anonymity on the new frontiers of cyberspace. The authors have also predicted that with the rise of this new cyberspace and consequently cyber money, it will become harder for nation state to collect taxes from its citizens. They compare the state to a farmer keeping cows in a field to be milked, but that soon the cows will have wings. They predict that for the government to collect taxes from its citizens in this type of society, it will have to violate human rights, and even traditionally civil countries will have to resort and turn nasty. It goes on to say, lacking their accustomed scope to tax inflate, governments even in traditionally civil countries will turn nasty. Businesses that offer services that facilitate the realization of autonomy by individuals will be subject to infiltration, sabotage, and disruption. Arbitrary forfeiture of property, already commonplace in the United States where it occurs 5,000 times a week, will become even more pervasive. Governments will violate human rights, censor the free flow of information, sabotage useful technologies, and worse. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are in the movie: the disintermediation of money and the disintermediation of information. And it's incredibly important in these times, right, to download protocols, use protocols like Nostr, use protocols like Bitcoin, and empower yourself, become that sovereign individual. You know, as much as Elon, you know, and I there's things about Elon that I don't like, the fact that, you know, he supports shitcoins, but as much as Elon freed the bird, so to speak, it is still a centralized platform, and he does have a target on his back, and that's the reality of it. Unlike Bitcoin and unlike Nostr, there is no metaphorical CEO to go after, right? There is no central party that governments could apply pressure to. This is why these protocols are so important for the freedom movement. This is why these protocols are so important for the separation of money and state. But make no mistake, this is information narrative trench warfare, and this is what we're living through. But it's also extremely exciting times for the individual, because I think once we get over this hump, I think humanity will have a freedom the likes of which has never been seen before in human history. Anyways, Gary, what are your thoughts? And then we'll pass it on to Opti.
Well, there's a lot there. Let's go to the first guy who was talking on Tucker there. You know, he's really got that laid out pretty well. And I don't believe a lot of people, because they've grown up with all this, realize, you know, we didn't even have any of this stuff so short amount of time ago. You know, in 96, I set up my first e-commerce site, and everybody told me I was an idiot. People wouldn't buy stuff on the internet, but I went forward anyway. Then 2004, you know, Adam Curry came out with the first podcast. He basically invented podcasts just back in 2004, 20 years ago, when he came out with the daily source code. I mean, if people realize how short amount of time has really gone by since we went from nothing to the whole thing now is kind of falling apart for them. I mean, there's so many attacks on traditional media, traditional money, traditional everything, that it's kind of amazing here. And also it's amazing how many things, if you think about it, in the book, The Sovereign Individual, they got right. Oh my gosh. That's like, if you haven't read that book, you don't need to just see Nico put a picture of it here. You need to get that book and read it. It's amazing how good of a job they did to me. But that's my thoughts on it. I mean, quick and sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Opti's asking me, what tweet, Opti? Oh, the one that I posted this morning?
Picture. Yeah, while I go pull it up, because I think it makes a really good point. Anyways, guys, it's and this is why I'm telling Nico to pull up the tweet, because it's incredible what we're actually doing here as Bitcoiners when you really see the numbers and you see what's actually happening out there. Like, independent content creators are really the new media. Yeah, Nico, let's show these people for the audio. Listeners.
So the audio. So this is what. And again, like we've been covering this phenomenon for a couple of months now, if not years, right? But it's happening in real time. And I said, you are the media now. This is the rise of independent journalism. And anybody could be a journalist. If you're posting on Twitter, you're posting news, or you pull out your phone and there's an event happening, you're recording that, and you're posting it on social media. You are now basically a reporter. You're now a journalist in this new world. So anyways, it says unique visitors January 2020 versus January 2024. There's been a 24% decline in viewership on Fox News, a 20% decline in viewership on CNN, a 22% decline in viewership from the New York Times, and a 45% decline in viewership from the Washington Post. This is exactly what Mike Benz was referring to in that view when he was freaking out when that general was freaking out in Europe, supposedly, about the fact that he's like, what happens when the New York Times literally just becomes an unpopular Facebook page? How are we going to control the masses? People don't remember this, right? But it was the Wall Street Journal that was used to attack Bitcoin, and they tried to convince some senators and some politicians that Bitcoin was being used to raise money for Hamas. It came out after the fact due to the amount of pressure that Bitcoiners put on social media. And we had Tom Ennemer interview the head of the FinCEN, and the head of FinCEN even admitted that terrorists prefer to use the traditional financial system. Right. So it's the Wall Street Journal that attacked Bitcoin. They made false claims. And then in one of the most powerful tweets I've ever saw, and I think it was from Jack Posobiec, and it's basically like, look, if social media existed back in the 2000s, we would not have gone to war with Iraq. It was the intelligence agencies that originally fed the New York Times the idea that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Right. So again, you know, once you have millions upon millions of individuals that can't be, it's a lot harder for governments to corrupt every single person. You know, it becomes extremely hard to control the narrative. And I think that's why they're pushing back. That's why they tried the disinformation governance board. That's why you have this lady literally saying, I hate the First Amendment, right? That's why you're seeing that, because they can no longer control the narrative in mass. Now, what's coming next, right, is when they can no longer control the money in mass, and that is their source of power fundamentally. Anyways, Opti, what's your take? And then we'll move on to Adam back.
Yeah, and just to add a little more context on these numbers, because I think it's absolutely incredible. The numbers go from CNN at roughly around 12,000 unique viewers down to the Washington Post at around, under 50,000 unique viewers. And that's literally just a small Twitter account. Like our Simply Bitcoin Twitter account has more unique subs or viewers than the Washington Post, which is absolutely incredible. And really, this is why you're seeing such backlash right now. This is why you're seeing the FISA rules, is because what Mike Ben says, they understand that they have lost the ability to control the narrative. And it's just people haven't woken up to that idea. Like you as a viewer here, you as someone that tweets on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, like you really underestimate the power of you communicating peer-to-peer with other individuals, with your family, with your friends. We really have the ultimate power here. And hence why you're seeing the backlash on freedom of speech, hence why you're seeing them about, fake news and all this stuff, is because what's happening is the gaslighting of information right now. They understand what we understand here at Simply Bitcoin, is that we have the ultimate power right now with the internet. Social media, the rise of social media basically destroyed their echo chamber. And now we have Bitcoin on top of that, that's basically steroids on the internet to really exponentially push the freedom to transact, which of course is the freedom to speak. And this is all one-on-one. Remember, Bitcoin is just a database. It's literally just ones and zeros. It's literally just words. And this is why you're seeing them try to regulate Bitcoin. This is why you're seeing them try to stifle the communication on the internet. And again, just doubling down, guys, you really, and we do this too at Simply, we really underestimate the power available to us communicating directly to you on YouTube, directly to you guys on Twitter, and spreading information peer-to-peer. And this is why censorship is such a hot button topic right now, is because they can no longer stifle the flow of information. And this is why they're freaking out so much. And remember, I keep saying this all the time, the meaning of fiat is literally by decree. It's literally by them telling you what currency is or what money is. And as the trusted institution starts to crumble, as you can see, it's happening in real time, basically, maybe only a small portion of your parents or grandparents are still watching the television, their power will diminish in real time. And you're seeing this happen right now. The only thing keeping the narrative working right now is that people still trust in the institutions. And of course, this is why we constantly tell you guys to use Bitcoin, to use the freedom technology, because as Nico pointed out in that sovereign individual code, that is the wings that gives the cows freedom. That's the wings that they put on the cow. This is what frees everything, is by humans being more interconnected. And I know that's a scary thing for most people. It's like, oh my God, humans being connected, the powers that be are like, we we can't let the plebs talk about everything because it's, it might hurt people. And it's like, no, this is what propels us forward. Is we're in a digital world, and connecting individuals, that's how we become more prosperous. Idea sharing and people waking up to the truth. This is how we improve the world in real time.
Amen to that. Amen to that. We got an awesome comment on Rumble. MMZ2G says, hello, Simply Bitcoin. I'm watching your live channel from a country with political problem to use Rumble, but I'm using VPN. Love you guys. Love you guys. Bitcoin at 60K, time to buy, right? That is absolutely, that's the power of the internet, right? Can't stop the signal. Anyways, I do want to cover this topic because it is the theme of the title of today's episode. This is Adam Back, December 3rd of 2023. He says digital gold Bitcoin will surely flip physical gold sooner or later, and probably this halving. So within a year or two. Currently, I would take 700K Bitcoin, but it may be partially a substitute. Some people start selling gold to buy Bitcoin, crossing the market caps below that. Also, here is Samson Mao in a recent podcast where he says, we won't be pricing things in Bitcoin in 5 to 10 years. Check it out.
And what do you think then, since we're talking about price, what do you think is a fair price for Bitcoin, in, next 5 years, 10 years? Is there...
In 5 to 10 years, I don't think we'll be pricing Bitcoin in terms of other things. It'll just be things are priced in Bitcoin in terms of Satoshis, the smallest unit of Bitcoin. So when you buy a sandwich, it might cost you 5 Satoshis.
Oh, I like that idea. So a total flip over in terms of how you put a value on the goods that you're buying.
So, I mean, I think that's like the kind of reminds me of the Neo meme, right? Or Morpheus meme, where like Neo is basically asking Morpheus, like, so you mean I wouldn't have to sell my Bitcoin for dollars? And then Morpheus is something like, Neo, what I'm trying to tell you is that when we get to where we're going, you won't have to sell your Bitcoin in the first place, right? So yeah, I mean, it's bullish. I think 700K in this cycle is overly optimistic by Adam Back, but at the same time, I think Bitcoin does the exact opposite of what people think. And also it's Adam Back, right? He holds a lot of weight. He was originally cited in the Bitcoin white paper. But look, in regards to that comparison, right, I think Bitcoin is superior to gold in every which way. It's currently 8.61% of the gold market cap. And if it's superior to gold, and if it's more scarce than gold, then you would think that it's not only going to catch up to gold, I think it's going to blow past it. But anyways, I might be slightly biased because I'm a Bitcoiner. So I'm going to pass it on to Gary. Maybe Gary's a little bit less biased than I am.
No, I'm not less biased than you are. Talking about that gold, this weekend we had BitBlock Boom. I'm in my suite watching TV. I'm trying to catch up, keep up. As the Bitcoin show gets over, I'm looking and it's Peter Schiff having a debate on Bitcoin. Is that guy an idiot or what? I mean, I'm sorry to talk about it, but it's just crazy how much stuff that guy spits out of his face about Bitcoin being, losing money and gold being up against Bitcoin. But I guess that's what shitcoiners like gold coiners have to do to keep an audience there. Since we're talking about how audiences are shrinking, I think Schiff has gotten out of popularity and he's not on shows anymore, but he keeps plugging that same thing, just hating Bitcoin. I know we weren't talking about that, but I wanted to bring that up because I just got sick of seeing that about barf. No,
it's good. It's good that you brought it up. Opti, what's your take on this, my friend?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, what do I know about where the price is going? All I know is that the price of Bitcoin right now is roughly around 60K. But if you do look backwards in time, and 4 years ago, shouts out to Hard Hodl in the chat. Let me find this comment, because for people that aren't familiar with what's going on in Bitcoin and how the price moves, where'd it go? He basically said 4 years ago, the Bitcoin price, I can't find it right now. So Nico, if you want to find it, he said 4 years ago, the Bitcoin price was 7.5K. 4 years before that, it was $450. So I know we are getting into bigger numbers, and we probably all do have a little bit of PTSD from the last cycle where we were expecting 100K. So no one really knows where it's going, but a simple just thought experiment, 4 or 6 figures Bitcoin, 140K is only one double from here. And if you don't think that's possible this year, then you are an absolute bear. Now, on to the 700K prediction. I've been kind of trolling on the show for the last couple of weeks that, we all have PTSD from Bitcoin not hitting 100K and it only got the 70K. So, if we just 10x those predictions, then we'll go from, everyone's saying right now, like, $1 million Bitcoin. I think that is a little bit bullish in the next year or two, but just kind of trolling a little bit. We won't go to 1 million. We'll go end up to 700K Bitcoin, but I don't have any metrics behind this. I'm just I'm really just like talking shit here, but I think some signal in this, and I don't know exactly where Mao's time frame is, but I think kind of what he's saying, he said this cycle. Well, if you kind of factor in that we're already at the end of this epoch, we're going to see the halving in roughly 2 days, or what was it, 342 blocks from now. I think we can kind of already safely start to talk about that we are already in the next cycle. So yeah, in a year or two, I think we're going to see the price go absolutely nuclear. But in 4 years, I think the price can very safely, we can speculate that it's going to be around 700K, $1 million per Bitcoin, especially like I keep saying, all the factors playing out in real time. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Of course, I agree with Adam back. Who wouldn't love to see 700K per Bitcoin go past the gold market cap? But I don't have any metrics. I'm literally just trolling. I'm counter trading Bitcoin Twitter right now. Everyone's saying $1 million Bitcoin. I still have PTSD from not hitting 100K Bitcoin. So let's just cut it in half. We're not going to get 1 million. We'll get 700K in the next 6 years. I think we can all be okay with that.
Yeah, and I just got to say, I think Bitcoin tends to do the exact opposite of what everyone thinks it's going to do. And I think what I saw last cycle was everyone was 100% sure that this thing was going to hit 100K. And what I'm seeing this cycle is just this general consensus of kind of like bearishness, right? Like, it's only going to hit 100K. It's only going to do. That's just an observation. Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but that's just kind of the general feeling that I get from everyone at the moment. The PTSD from the China mining ban. Anyways, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. The Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. If you're going to a city and you don't know any Bitcoiners there, the Orange Pill app is an incredible resource. You could pull it up and it will tell you the Bitcoiners that are around you. You can hit them up, you can send them a DM directly, and also has this clever filtration system so you won't find any shitcoiners or any people that are really not like-minded to you, but basically Bitcoiners on the app. So it's really, really cool. We also have the Simply Bitcoin Orange Pill app group chat. Me and Opti try to post there every single day. And you could also send me and Opti messages directly on the Orange Pill app. It's one of the best ways to reach us. So guys, download the Orange Pill app. Again, it's a great resource to connect with fellow Bitcoiners. Fellow Bitcoiners are going to be some of the most influential, powerful people in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's probably a good idea to stack friends who stack sats. Download the Orange Pill app today.
Before you go on, guys, hit the description in YouTube and you can get the link directly into the Simply Bitcoin Orange Pill group.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, let's get to the culture and talk to Mr. Gary Leland.
The Daily Culture.
Kaboomex. They are the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. You can check out their racks by scanning the QR code or check video description. It will take you directly to their Telegram marketplace, or you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You could also sell your mining equipment with them, access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with Kaboomex. What are you waiting for? Start your mining journey today. This is where I personally buy my Bitcoin mining ASICs. Check out Kaboomex. Scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. We almost have 1,300 people watching live between all the platforms. So if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. Really, really helps with the algos. Opti, it's all yours.
Yeah, so of course, and I think I'm a broken record at this point, or rather Nico is, but BitBlock Boom does have a special place in our hearts. This is where Nico and I officially met for the first time in person and not on the internet. So we absolutely love BitBlock Boom, and I'm super happy he came back to Dallas. It's back on home turf. But anyways, Gary, let's just get a recap on BitBlock Boom this year. How was it? How'd everything go? Let the people know, and then we can talk about next year.
Well, first, let me say thank you to my platinum sponsor, Swan, to my gold sponsor, Ocean, to my silver sponsor, Atomic. I need to thank them because their funds were definitely used to help set up everything to make it a good event. You know, Dallas was great to come back home to. It's 40 minutes from my house. I think everybody who came to the event was like, oh my gosh, this is good to be back here. Rather than in Austin. I was concerned I'd have a little blowback about not being in Austin, but I had more positive comments about being in Dallas. You know, and I think both, well, Opti, you live here, but Nico, not living here, you've got to agree, coming to Texas in April is a hell of a lot better than coming in August. Nobody ever said, hey, I'm sitting around my house up in New York and I want to go down to Dallas or Austin in August. Nobody in the world has ever said that. But April is just beautiful here. Tickets also, want everybody know, tickets do go on sale May the 1st for next year at bitblockboom.com. So you want to take advantage of that because they go up. It's amazing to me how many people buy their tickets at the highest price it could be in April when they could buy them now. So do buy your tickets now instead of waiting to April. Sorry, guys, had to get those things out there and over with. But we had a great event, I think. What'd you think, Opti? I mean, you were there the whole time. I was working my ass off, but I thought we had a great event.
I had a blast.
You know, you guys I saw sitting in chairs all the time, just over there having a drink, joking around, talking with your buddies, saying you were working. You know, my wife always says that if I'm having fun, I'm not working. I'm just over there having fun, even though it makes money for some reason. That's not working.
It's true.
I think I actually have to be sweating and hating what I do because I've heard that my whole life. And I've gone, well, gosh, I'm sorry, honey, that I do what I like for a living.
I know, right?
You know, always. But, you know, that's just a crazy way to be. It's great. It's great to be able to do what you love for a living, right, guys?
Yeah, because then it doesn't feel like work. Absolutely. So, yeah. So we were taking care of the live stream, Gary. It requires a lot of sitting and viewing and making sure that everything is going going smoothly.
I'm just giving you guys a hard time. You guys also did a good job of making sure no one stole anything out of that room. That was what I was really impressed with, the job y'all did on that. Because people could have been stealing that artwork or the BTC cards, and you guys had it locked down.
We were quite worried every night. We're like, oh, we're gonna come back and the microphones are gonna be gone. But yeah, no, it was a thrill. It was great. Had an incredible time this year, Gary, and you know, thanks for having us back. And you know, I love some of the panels there. The mining panel with Mechanic and Bob Burnett was absolutely incredible. Every time, you know, just talking about mining, that was great. Mel did an introduction for Tone Vase, and it was incredible. So shout out to Mel. Came from the heart. It was such an authentic kind of introduction. I think that was awesome. So yeah, I mean, Jimmy Song, of course. So many great panels, so many awesome content. Of course, kind of a little news desk in between. Just the interviews, they're just just going crazy. John from Atomic, you know, coming in hard, dropping so much good stuff. So yeah, I had a great time. Yeah, he's amazing. John from Atomic is an incredible guy. He's a great guy, and he was just dropping so many
He's
awesome.
my kind of lunatic. Love him.
Dropping signal during the news desk. So yeah, I love the kind of like the dinner the first day at the Ferris Wheeler. Had a Texas barbecue, a live band that was awesome, a highlight. I didn't go to the shooting thing, but I had friends that went and they sent me videos. There's one with the silencer, and they were shooting like a target with shitcoins, which was really cool. Yeah, it was just a great kind of experience overall. Last year was pretty hectic because me and Opti were on the news desk 2 days in a row. This year was a little bit easier in that sense, but yeah, it was great. I love BitBlock Boom. Like Opti said, broken record, but holds a special place in my heart, and I had an incredible time, and I can't wait for next year in Dallas. BitBlock Boom, the year of the pump, supposedly. Yeah. So no one knows. BitBlock Boom 2025. So I'm incredibly excited for that. Opti?
Yeah, Nico, before we go on to talking about next year, I do just want to give a general plug to Gary and BitBlock Boom, because it always feels like a family reunion whenever I go to BitBlock Boom, especially now that we're back in Dallas at the Marriott that we were at. It feels like going back to, you know, the home base there with everyone. And the reason I really love BitBlock Boom is because of all the people that show up. It really always feels like a family reunion. It's smaller, it's tight knit. You can hang out. We were finally able to do LobbyCon and PoolCon once again, so that's always a pleasure and a plus. But yeah, it always feels like these are my people. And when I go to BitBlock Boom, I can just hang out with my friends. And at this point, some of them I probably consider family. And it just feels like home turf. So guys, I know conferences get a lot of bad rap, but this is why you go to conferences, is because it's not just about talking on the internet. It's about connecting in person and building these relationships with people. And this is why you go to BitBlock Boom. So on that note, thank you, Gary. And I really appreciate you letting us hold down the media. And then let's talk about next year. So as we were asking you and you told us, we're going back to Dallas, but we are going to a new venue. So let's plug the new venue and the dates and all that stuff and get people to buy some tickets.
Well, the date, it's back in Dallas, like you said, and it's the first weekend in April, like maybe in April 3rd, 4th, and 5th or something like that. It's not on the site yet, but it's the first weekend in April. It's at a Hilton. The Hilton Hotel is on the site, so you can see that, which is going to be maybe 10 minutes away from the hotel we were at this year. So it's really, really close. Now, tickets are on the site for sale for people who attended this year. So if you attended this year, part of your thank you is we have the QR codes up there where you can go to the site, buy your tickets at a much reduced price. Then probably in a couple of days, they'll go on sale for people who have been to BitBlock Boom before. If you've been to BitBlock Boom before and you didn't make it this year, you will get a chance to buy tickets. And then next year, we will have the ticket, or in 2 weeks, we'll have the tickets on sale for everybody. So they'll be on sale for everybody in 2 weeks. So May 1st, basically, the tickets will be on sale for anyone. Ticket prices that are up there right now are last year. So do not buy your tickets right now, or you'll be buying last year's tickets. And you'll have to go back in time on the Opti time machine to attend the conference. And you're talking about everybody's, like, you know, the panels, the mining panel, which CJ Wilson did a great job on, and Mel's intro. I haven't seen any of this, guys. So, I mean, I literally have seen 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. So I will be cutting up all those videos and start watching them in a few days. So I'm excited to see how it turned out and how great everybody's talks were. I heard the same thing you're just saying. Mel's intro was great. I heard that the mining panels were great. I thought NVK and Rockstar did a great job at the end, wrapping it up. I had a lot of compliments on the workshops, which I have to give creds out to Santos. Santos handled the whole workshop and the build-a-thon, our first build-a-thon, which Michael Tidwell won. You know Tidwell is going to win whether he had to cheat or not. He's going to take that. I mean, I'm just joking. I'm just going with my casino night theme there. I'm giving Tidwell a hard time. He definitely didn't cheat.
Oh, I heard the casino night was crazy. Aladdin put everything on 21, the roulette table, and he hit the 21, and he
had
won like
so many. He had so many raffle tickets. You know, my concern was I was going, oh my gosh, he's going to win everything, and everybody's going to be all pissed off at him. But he gave them all away, which was great. I should have known better than to give him a heads up as to what could happen. But yeah, I think, you know, that casino night, that's our third year for casino night, and I fought it, and I thought it was stupid, and my wife wanted to do it, and then we did it, and everybody loved it, and that's one of the things they kept saying, are you doing casino night next year? So that is a staple of BitBlock Boom, is casino night, and it's included in your general admission pass, so it's kind of like a really good deal.
Yeah, and you get Gary bucks, right?
Yes,
I didn't see your face. I didn't see your face on the Gary bucks this year. I was disappointed.
Nope. Yeah, the Ocean was a sponsor for casino night, so we threw their logo in there. Yeah, I think my face is seen enough, and it's not that good looking at 70. So, you know, I try not to be appearing any more than I have to at 70. You know,
I love the Gary bucks. Anyway, Gary, I have a request. Is it okay if me and Opti live stream from the middle of the lake next year?
Oh, I don't know. It sounds good to me. If you get you a boat, get out there. Okay. Is that the hotel for next year I'm seeing here?
Yes.
I had no idea.
It's on the website. I'm guessing this looks like a vibe.
Well, I came in the hotel from the other side and just walked around the lobby and the ballrooms we'll use. You know, the thing about a hotel, you know, in case you haven't been to BitBlock Boom, is doing a conference at a hotel is that you're like forced to hang out with all these Bitcoiners. I mean, whether you want to or not, you're actually forced to get up, when you have your coffee, come down for coffee, you see all these Bitcoiners down there, and you're forced when you have dinner to hang out with a bunch of Bitcoiners, and you're forced when you're taking a break and sitting in a chair. So it makes you network with Bitcoiners instead of going, okay, I went to the conference, it's 5 o'clock, I'm going home, going to bed, going out to dinner by myself. I mean, really, guys, don't we like stay together like the whole, from the time you get there, basically till the time you leave Sunday afternoon, you're hanging out with Bitcoiners 24/7, except I guess when you go to bed, but some people don't. They just hang out downstairs all damn night.
Yeah. No, and that's where the LobbyCon was born. And I remember it was the year of the pandemic, and they had all these, but of course, you know, Florida and Texas stayed free somewhat. And you know, the Bitcoiners just took over the lobby, you know, and it was like a conference in the lobby of that hotel, which is really cool.
You know, in the hotel it was scheduled at was 2 blocks up the street. They called us 2 weeks before the conference and said they were shutting down the hotel for COVID. So, you know, when you've got a conference coming in, you have all these people coming from everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. And you get called that your hotel is closing 2 weeks before the conference. That's kind of damn rough. But we still pulled it off, which I was excited about. So that worked out good. And yeah, Mel, you did hang out and eat my coconut shrimp. And that was good coconut shrimp, actually.
Yeah, it was a great event. It was a good time to kind of go back there. And then I'm really excited for this new venue next year.
Hey, someone posted about Sailor's Boat. You know, I want to make sure, Michael, I want to make sure you know I'm still waiting for $100,000 because I want the party that's going to be on the boat, Michael and Eric. You know what I'm talking about here. So don't be forgetting me on the list, Kathy and I. We talked about this years ago.
All right, Gary, I want to go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I was over at Sailor's house one time. Kathy and I were having brunch with him and Michael. And it was right after he made that post that he would have a party on his yacht if Bitcoin hit 100. And I said, wow, it looks like we're going to be having that party lately. And this is when Bitcoin was like 65. And he goes, yeah, I really didn't. Or I think Eric might have said, yeah, he didn't really expect Bitcoin to be moving up so fast. He thought he had a few years to get ready for this party. So you got your few years, Michael. I just want to make sure I'm on the list.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Opti?
Yeah, I was just going to give Gary, do like a TLDR of why people should come to BitBlock Boom next year. And then I do kind of want to touch on Bitcoin boomers because we get a lot of flack for always being hyperbolic on boomers. So first and foremost, do TLDR. Why should people come to BitBlock Boom? And then I'd like to do a little PSA to the boomers out there with you.
Well, you know, I had so many people this year that told me this was the first conference they've ever been to. And I guess that's going to happen more and more as Bitcoin grows and more new people come into it. But really, Opti, I think you said it best earlier, better than I can ever say it. And it's actually what I was hoping for. BitBlock Boom has turned into a family reunion of people you get to see once a year. Maybe you're lucky and you see them twice a year. But for the most part, you might see these people once a year. I mean, if you are a Bitcoiner that's a seasoned Bitcoiner and you're living in South Dakota, just taking a state at random, you probably don't get the network with a lot of people that you feel your peers, that you feel are with you there. So that is why you need to come to BitBlock Boom, not only to make these friends, but to have a group that you know every year you can come back and see. So many people come back every year. It's mind-boggling. I was looking at the emails list today, clearing out some stuff, and how many people had been there 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It's literally amazing. People do come back, and if you come, you will enjoy it and you will come back. You know, and the thing I do want to say about BitBlock Boom is when someone comes to speak on the stage at BitBlock Boom, they don't come in the back and all of a sudden they're on the stage and then they leave out the back and you never see them again. At BitBlock Boom, they'll roll behind the stage. They're sitting out in the audience, you know, and then they roll up on, it's like Bob Burnett's sitting there watching the show and he gets up when it's his turn to speak and goes backstage. And when he's through, comes back in the audience and sits down. So these people are not like treated like, oh, we got to make sure no one has time to talk to you or no one bothers you. We want people bothering them and talking to them. And they know that at BitBlock Boom. So not only do you get to see people that you watch on YouTube or maybe read their books or whatever, you get to actually interact with them and meet with them. And that's the thing, I think, one of the things that makes it different for us than other conferences that are they're bigger conferences is you don't actually get to meet these people. They're kind of kept away from you. I think that's a big deal.
Love it. Love it. Okay, look, perfect comment here by Robert. He watches our show all the time. He's like, you people scare the boomers away. Come to us, boomers. We welcome your people. So, guys, we love our Bitcoin boomers. Gary's a friend, a personal friend to us. So we're hyperbolic here. But Gary, if there happens to be a boomer out there that's on the fence, what's a message you like to get across to the boomers out there that are thinking about Bitcoin?
Well, you know, and you got to realize boomers are coming from a different place than everybody else here. They didn't even have computers when they were in high school, you know, and many of them would not have a computer now if it wasn't for a phone that they carry around. So they definitely are not as technologically advanced as everyone else. But, you know, really, if you're a boomer, you need to start throwing 1%, 2%, 3% in there. I mean, oh my gosh, if you're sitting there and you've been working your whole life, building up this retirement fund, going, oh my gosh, I finally have it. I can die and give it to my kids. Well, if that's your goal, let's really pump it and give it to your kids and throw some Bitcoin in there and pump it and give it to your kids. I'm telling you, this is, to me, and this is my humble opinion, it's going to kill everything. Bitcoin's going to kill everything. And all the models now are broken, I believe, with this happening. I think everything will be broken this time. And I do believe, I do agree with a lot of the pricing that I hear predicting, but you have to get off your ass, figure this out. You know, and boomers, you know, thing about boomers is they all wake up every day and look in the mirror and they know they're a boomer. So people act like you can't say the word boomer to them. They aren't surprised. They see this every day. You know, no matter how they feel when they wake up, within 10 minutes, they know they're a boomer. So feel comfortable calling them boomers. And if they can't take it, they just need to shut the fuck up.
I love it. All right, Gary, let's give you last moment here. What's the last message you want to leave with the audience?
Stack sats. And if you want to come to BitBlock Boom and talk about stacking sats, that'd be cool too. But stack sats, that's the most important thing. It's more important than coming to BitBlock Boom is stacking sats. If you stack enough sats, you'll be able to come and bring your entire family and all your friends with you to BitBlock Boom soon.
I love that. Yeah. Wise words. Anyways, Gary, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Really, really appreciate it. Guys, check out BitBlock Boom. The tickets are going to go live soon to buy. BitBlock Boom 2024. May 1st. So we'll give you guys a reminder when they go live, and pretty sure that you can use promo code simplybitcoin. It'll give you a discount. Hope to see you guys next year. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate it, like always.
Thank you always. Look forward to seeing y'all soon.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that was the show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button. I'm your host, Nico. My legendary co-host just took himself off screen. That's Optimus Fields. If you guys enjoyed the show, like I said, smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, share Bitcoin content. Doesn't even have to be this Bitcoin content. Just share all Bitcoin content, share all Bitcoin art, share all Bitcoin everything. That's what we do. Win over the hearts and minds. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Actually, Opti will be filling in for me tomorrow. I think we have we have a podcast at 5 p.m. with Jeff Booth, which is going to be absolutely awesome. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours. But until then, love you all. Peace out, everybody.
Episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.